Welcome, everyone. My name is Megan Johnson. I'm a coach, I'm a writer, I'm a speaker, and I'm the host of May We Know Them. This is a video podcast series where I bring people together to share their stories and bring more people together to hear them so that we can start conversations about things we don't always talk about upon first meeting one another or even after a while of being together. So thanks for being here with us today. As you listen today to my guest, who I'm going to introduce in a second, I encourage you, whether you're here with us live or catching a replay somewhere, wherever you're at this point in your life, have some paper nearby to write down whatever comes up for you as my guest shares her story. So whether it's something where you're really nodding along in agreement or something lands and it makes you feel a little uncomfortable, there might be a reason you needed to hear it today. So trust that. And with that, I'd love to introduce Kay Loughrey. Kay, oh my goodness. Kay is such a professional, just stand for people to live a life that is just delicious and sweet and all of the things. And she's able to do that because she's been there. She's done the work to be able to create that life for herself. So she's not just preaching, here are the things to do. She models it. And it's so easy to listen to her advice, to take it in, to realize like, oh yeah, Kay knows what she's talking about because she's walked that path. And we'll find out today, she's probably still walking it. We all go through where, we have to continue to choose to show up for ourselves, to live that healthy, sweet life that she's going to talk to us about today. So Kay, welcome. So glad.
Thank you. I am so thrilled to be here. And as you said in some of your promotion, food holds a lot of power in our lives. So many different aspects.
Yeah. And starting at a young age, which I'm sure we'll go into today. So yeah, and so let's just dive in, Kay. I'd love to hear from you. Just we're going to be talking today about the connection, that almost natural connection we begin to make between food and shame. And we were chatting a little bit before we press record here about shame shows up everywhere, not just with food. So as you listen to this through a food conversation today, you could probably hear it through other lenses as well. So yeah, Kay, before you had that aha that, oh, this is the connection I'm making here, and it has me showing up with my relationship with food in this way, what was going on for you that contributed to that? Share a little bit about your story.
Yeah, well, it started when I was 8 years old, and that is when I started eating. But, they weren't starving me, but it wasn't really eating. I was hiding because something bad had happened to me, and I did not want anyone to know about it. And listen, I experienced abuse as a child, and I started using food as a way to deal with the pain, with the loneliness, and actually to help me hide the shame. It's a good cover because you can get really preoccupied with food. And, it's interesting because I wasn't close to people because I was obsessed with food. And like as a teenager, I don't know about the people here, but I had this great relationship with Hostess. They're Twinkies, the Ding Dongs, most of all the Snowballs. And so as you can imagine, that led to a lot of overeating that lasted for years, and yo-yo dieting, because yes, I gained weight. And it was really that I was in like a bird in a cage with the obsession with food, and I felt so isolated. And when I looked in the mirror, of course I could see those snowballs sitting on my hips, but I didn't really even like the person who I saw. So that's kind of where I was before I had a big turnaround in my life.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for having the courage to share that, Kay, because that's not an easy thing to talk about. And I know, I mean, there's so many people who, yeah, food holds a lot of power that we don't dare to say out loud. I was definitely someone, s'mores Pop Tarts sometimes are still my crutch. But I mean, that was my version of Hostess as a kid. I went to those all the time. And yeah, the hiding, I really resonate with that. And it does feel like a cage. And then we realize we're choosing it because it's so delicious and it tastes good. And yeah, sometimes that s'mores Pop-Tart didn't disappoint me like a deadbeat boyfriend or a friend who, went behind my back. It was like Pop-Tart's reliable. Yeah. Yeah, I hear
Exactly.
that. So that's what was going on. And at some point, something clicked for you. You had the awareness that was going on.
Yeah.
So what was that moment that had you kind of put your foot down and get off the yo-yo?
Yeah. And I was really playing this total game of hide and seek in life in general. And I met this lady, and she really made me realize it really wasn't the food. It wasn't about the food. It was about how I was hiding behind the food. I was hiding the shame behind the food. It was the emotions that were the problem that were leading to, all the behavior that I've already described. And so, she helped me see that I could stand up for myself. I could be that, and I was in my heart of hearts, a powerful, worthy, amazing, bold woman that, I hadn't really seen before. So, I mean, my life shifted in this conversation because I saw it was like a paradigm shift about who I was and who I could be. And, then I could say no more hide and seek.
Right. Right. Yeah. It's like seeing yourself in the mirror. It's still you, but seeing yourself totally different, like through new eyes.
Yes, totally new eyes.
Yeah. Oh, so powerful to have. I feel like anybody who's been through something and then comes to a point where it's okay, that was before and now there's an after. There's usually some mentor or somebody there that helped cause that catapult into what's next. Whether it's someone who believed in us or someone who didn't, and we said, okay, I'll show you. Like whatever it is, there's usually someone or something that happens. So yeah, powerful. So yeah, and it's not about the food. We all have our vices, right? I think food is one for many of us, but I'm sure we all know people who turn to so many things. Some less healthy than others, for sure. Some more dangerous, to hide, to avoid feeling. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. To avoid feelings and having to deal with the present, for sure.
Yeah. So you met this person. It was reflected to you that, hey, it's not about the food, and you had this new awareness, this paradigm shift. So when that happened, was it healthy sweet life from then on out? what was the journey like once you had that aha?
Yeah, well, I became a nutritionist and dietitian partially to reform my own self. So, and I still love sweets, but I became a licensed registered dietitian. I built a healthy relationship with food. So yeah, all foods are okay. It's just how much and how often, as I work with my clients on that. And, I was able to build a healthy relationship with my husband, who I love very much, and I could open myself up to a loving relationship and, stop overeating, which was truly important, and to stop the yo-yo dieting and be able to look in the mirror and love who I saw as a person,
Mm-hmm.
not just judging, oh, how do my hips look today? Is my butt too big or small? That's kind of the judging part, but learning how to really be able to build a healthy relationship with food. And I think is something that you've said to me, which I really appreciate, heal that connection to shame. It's not about what happened to me. I don't have to comfort myself anymore. I am who I am, and I can stand in my power and my purpose, and I can help other people do the same. And that's really what I learned from this whole thing, that I could change my life. It wasn't fast, I have to say.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I imagine it wasn't easy some days
And
too.
it wasn't easy, yeah,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
worth it.
but worth it, as most wonderful things are. There's a little bit of it. You got to work for it. Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely got to work for it.
awesome. What's for anyone else who might be listening in on this, or having their own experience of whether it's with food, this kind of connection with food that's related to shame, or in general, they're looking to stop hiding. What are some words of wisdom you would want to share?
Yeah, one of the things is to kind of discover, if somebody took your power away, you know, maybe where did it start? Who was it? And what have you been doing to try to take your power back? And is that really working for you? And if you aren't nurturing yourself the way you want to, maybe you're still being reactive to that old thing. But what if you could choose your own way? And the author Haruki Murakami once said, pain is inevitable, suffering is optional. We have a choice about whether or not we're going to suffer. So when then we can reclaim our own self and show up, not just as our social self. I mean, it's so easy just to show up like everybody else, being polite and don't speak too loud and don't do this and, pretend that. But, can we dare? Can we dare to be ourselves?
I love.
And that's why I say no more hide and seek.
Yeah, yeah. It sounds like actually taking the bold action to the word that was popping into my head as you were sharing all of that was to be unapologetically ourselves
Yes.
wherever
Yes.
we're at in our journey.
Yes.
We know we've got some weight to lose or some things that we're working on, to show up fully in that moment anyway.
Yeah, and it doesn't mean we always have to be nice. I mean, maybe sometimes we have to be belligerent or just say no, or I don't want to.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, and yeah, fully embracing that doesn't mean there's anything wrong with us. That we're human, and I think especially when it comes to food and weight loss, I feel, and this might just be my experience, but I know I would get into the mode of, oh, I need to be a machine, disciplined, like regimented, perfect. Which, when does that ever work for any of us to be perfect?
Right.
And it creates that yo-yo
Mm-hmm.
because it's just not sustainable.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Kay, I'm curious. I I and this is coming from my own experience with weight loss, and um, I grew up with I love my mom to death, and she is skinny mini. I've always been bigger than her from like since the time I was 12 years old, and like I would get ready in the mirror with her when I was a kid and whatnot, and I grew up watching her grab her thighs and say, "Oh, if I could just shrink this part here and that part there," and it's stuck with me ever since. And she didn't know what that was doing to me, but just recently, and I still have to work on this because this is still a work in process, working on my own fitness or my own health goals from a place of unapologetically loving myself where I'm at versus,
Yeah.
ugh, I need to shrink this here, shrink that here. If I can
Right.
suck this in, all those things. Yeah, I used to use shame as the thing to fuel me,
Right.
and it still creeps in.
Yeah.
But really looking to shift it from a place of, oh, I can love myself now and keep and work on it. So I wonder, in your experience working with clients, or even just in your own journey, how you see that shift, loving yourself unapologetically, showing up unapologetically, actually impacting the journey.
Oh yeah, because it's all momentum, and that, you know, just in your mother was not doing anything wrong, but she was following suit to the whole self judgment. There's something wrong with me,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what a lot of us feel. We've been told to sit up straight and don't put our elbows on the table and do this and do that and tone it down and get a little chunk off our hips or we've been told all that, and we can say, yeah, I'm just, I'm fine just as I am. I am, I'm not perfect, but I am lovable, acceptable, worthy, and, I am enough. And it seems silly to have to even think about that. Of course we are. Of course we are. But there's some little ego mind in the background that, called a self-critic that wants to come in and say, you'll never be good enough, or why do you even try? And so being able to see the opposite is the truth. I'll never be good enough, but I am good enough. And
Yeah.
seeing the lies that come from socialization or the inner critic, it takes real awareness because it creeps in so easily.
Yeah. Yeah. I call mine my gremlin. I've got a couple
Yes.
of them. I give them names, and I attach them to like a fancy character or a cartoon character or something. Then exactly that. Then I can laugh at them a little bit, and it doesn't
Yeah.
feel so heavy. But yeah, even just the way your whole being shifted when you talked about showing up. I am worthy. I am enough. I think about days when I'm talking like trash to myself. I'm much less likely to continue with any sort of regime
Yeah.
to better myself because I'm already relating to myself as a piece of trash.
Yeah. And so it kind of becomes an excuse to just give up, just throw up your hands, or what the heck, I'll never happen. So yeah, sort of taking the easy way out. And I do have a client example of somebody who also is kind of trying to be perfect, that I'd love to share with you,
Yeah.
because he was able to get out of that trap. And I'll call him Justin, but he came to me 3 months ago and said, I need help with eating and I need help with my weight. And I said, no, you don't have a problem with that, with your eating or your weight. You have an emotional problem that is leading to that. And that emotional problem was really tied to perfectionism. And, he had three big problems. And one was that he had just injured his knee and he could hardly get around. And the second thing was he didn't feel like he was showing up the way he wanted to as a dad for his children. And the third was he was binge eating, particularly at night, and he had gained a lot of weight. And so, we came together, and I have a tool, it's called the Choice Point Activator, that I used with him, and I offer it as a free resource to people as well. But it's a mirror. It's a mirror to kind of show back to people where they are, a mirror on paper so they can really reflect. And, that's after that, we started working together.
Yeah.
And I helped him. And he started making different choices. So the great thing about it is that he's spinning. He's going to spinning class 4 days a week.
Fun.
I was like, with a knee problem, you're doing that? And he's eating dinner every night with his kids and setting an example for them in a totally different way.
Yeah.
And the third and best of all, he's not binge eating,
Mm-hmm.
which even just those would be great. But he's lost 34 pounds in 3 months.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he's just come so far. And that's what can happen when you start letting go of the perfectionism and being willing to kind of see yourself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so I just love working with Justin, and I can hardly wait for our sessions to see what has he done this week.
Well, yeah, it's powerful. I mean, it's momentum, right? Like when you start to talk to yourself like you would someone you love, right? Then you show up differently for yourself. If you love yourself, you're not going to sabotage, and realizing there like that's where it's not the food, it's the emotion. Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh,
Yeah.
powerful stuff, Kay. Really powerful stuff. Well, so the name of this podcast, this video podcast, is May We Know Them. And it comes from, there's a quote, we'll attribute it to Pinterest. I don't know who came up with it, but it says, here's to the strong women. May we know them, may we raise them, may we be them. I may have gotten those out of order, but those three things are in there. So, we're always looking to make sure we know who each other is. So is there a strong person in your life? You mentioned this pivotal person at one point, but people who maybe, whether it's an author or a speaker or just someone we should know about to inspire us or anyone listening.
Honestly. Yeah, and I'm a big reader, so I could go off on lots of different authors, but Brene Brown is one of my favorites. And the quote I love of hers is, "Discomfort is the way home." Because, hey, this change process is not going to be comfortable, I'll tell you. It's getting comfortable with being uncomfortable and with uncertainty. And the other is my speaker coach and Tammy Turner, and I am so admiring of her. Let's speak out, let's speak up, let's take off the mask, the social mask that we've been putting on for way too long. And she helped me have the courage to speak about, speaking about abuse is not easy. It's not, what it's my purpose. I do it because I live my purpose, but it takes some courage to actually get up and do it. And so she's fueled me with that. And she's a great speaker coach. So those two come to mind, right away.
Absolutely. I mean, Brene Brown, yeah, discomfort is the way home. Ooh, that one hit me. I'm like, ooh, dang, Brene, why'd you have to say that? But, because it's true. Yeah, and we'll get the information about your speaker coach and share it with anyone who's live here. We'll share it in the show notes after, and for anyone who's catching the replay. Because sharing is caring. Let's get those resources in our toolbox for sure. Well, Kate, thank you so much for, again, having the courage to share. What I'd love to do, since we do have some people joining us live, if they feel willing, feel free to come off mute. You're welcome to come off video here too, if you wish, to share what stood out to you, what Kay said that maybe really hit you.
I guess, we all have different vices around food. And, that was her, I guess, call it her vice. And, we all may be different, but we all have them. Mm-hmm. And how they manifest themselves.
Yeah. Yeah, so, I think we could all look at our own lives, the ways, if it's not food, what is it, that we do to either hide or not, or to hide or to avoid addressing or feeling something. Yeah, absolutely.
I had so many of them. Just jotting things down. My fingers are going so fast. I like the part about the pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. Mm-hmm. And no matter what it is, food or whatever else, there's some shame that comes in. And it was ringing my bell here also about on some other personal notes, the part about hide and seek, being unapologetically ourselves. Mm-hmm. It's just I've been jotting a lot of notes down. Either way look at it, but it's I really think this is very, very, very helpful. The emotional eating. And I wrote down the word 34 pounds in 3 months. That was a great goal, personal goal for myself, because I've been yo-yoing up and
Yeah.
down. And so setting that goal, and I think something was said also, if you love yourself, you don't, is it shame yourself? You don't sabotage yourself. I think, I think Megan, you may have said, I'm not sure, but that idea of sabotaging that, and I'm glad I'm on here, because it's usually something that men don't talk about. Men want to talk about, you know, women losing weight, but the end of the day, it hits home personal as well.
Oh, thanks for saying that. Yeah, that's powerful.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Maurice.
And that's what we want to do here is have the kinds of conversations that aren't common, because we're all dealing with things like this. So to be out loud and get supported and realize we're not alone can be a really powerful thing.
Yeah, and I love that you couch this as a conversation about what matters. It's okay to talk about the things that maybe are a little hard. They're not so easy to do, or we would have already done that.
Yeah.
Okay, so I really can relate to the whole mom thing, Megan. And I don't think I remember her saying something like that about herself in the mirror, but my whole family would talk about weight to your face, and still to this day will say, you're too fat, you're too big, your arms, your legs, your waist, what are you doing? And that's a daily, if a daily thing if you see them every day. So it's so then I want to tie that together with when you were talking about the guy you're helping. It's not an eating problem, it's an emotional problem, because it is. And it took a lot for me to, one, I separated myself from a lot of those toxic family members who continue to just call me names or whatever, because I was known as the round kid or the chunky kid growing up. And that is not fun to grow up in. And it takes a lot of healing and a lot of time to get through that. And it's something I constantly need to work on and remind myself every single day. And that's what I do too. So it's like, it's awesome. So this is great. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. And I want to tie that back to, Kay, what you said. Like I shared with you about how my mom was, and you're like, yeah, and your mom didn't do anything wrong. It was just how she was conditioned. And I think about, the family members you just mentioned, how they likely, the people that are closest to us likely say things that might not always land like it's because they care about us, but it's because they care about us. And the hard part then for us is to then, move forward with our journey, do what we need to do for ourselves, and, maybe forgive and heal without hearing an apology that we might want, or hearing someone else take ownership for, hey, that had an impact on me. And I feel like that's one of the strongest things anybody can do, is to move forward and heal without hearing that apology they so need to hear, especially in these emotional conversations. So anyone who can do that is a warrior in my book.
Yeah, and I think also that parents, just if as a parent or a parent to be, just being, it's easy to go into default. It's easy to start criticizing almost without even thinking, and not realizing that what it could do to that child. Yeah. So, and especially controlling that eating. Like, eat everything on your plate. Who hasn't heard that? I mean, I thought that was dead and gone 50 years ago, but almost all of my clients have had issues with that, being forced to sit in front of something, eggs, spinach, whatever it was, until, trying to force their child to eat is just the total setup for having eating issues later.
Yeah, forcing in food, I feel like those are two words I don't want to have together ever.
Yes.
Like, I just make that a rule, just to be safe. Well, Kate, thank you so much for for sharing. Tell us a little bit about where we can find you, because I feel like you gave us a lot of gold today. And not only did it, bring up some things here in the moment, but I have a feeling, I know, a week from now, 2 weeks from now, something's going to happen. I'm going to look in the mirror, be in my kitchen or something, have an emotional moment. I'm going to resonate on this conversation with you. So where can we find you?
Yeah. So, and I also wanted to say, because I mentioned the Choice Point Activator, that's something that I can make available to anybody on this call, or your friends, or your clients as well, how to get that Choice Point Activator. You can just text me at 240-687-1251. And what we'll do is we'll set up a call, and she'll have access to me for about 20 minutes. And I will walk you through that Choice Point Activator. And so you can begin to get clear and get that benefit of having that mirror of what might be happening for you around food. And I might say, too, that we just launched our new Sweet Life Wellness website at 1 p.m. today.
Okay.
So please go take a look. It's
perfect timing. We'll definitely check it out. Definitely check it out for sure. For sure. Okay. Well, with that, thank you so much for your vulnerability today and your courage and sharing, and for everybody who was able to join us live, for your willingness to share where you're at, and even, just put some things out there on loudspeaker. I hope it was a powerful and a freeing experience for you all as well.